and welcome to Leadership in Real Life, Raw Stories of Leading and Learning. I am your host, Erica Taylor Beck, the founder of Authentic Foundations. Hey, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to Leadership in Real Life. I am the host, Erica Taylor Beck, and I have a business called Authentic Foundations, which provides online courses and downloadable resources, as well as coaching to help leaders and entrepreneurs develop leadership skills to become more successful. And today's topic is empathy in leadership, which is one of my favorite topics, but it's still something that is not universally accepted yet in the workplace because empathy makes people feel or think about emotions. And there are still a lot of people in the camp of you keep your emotions at home, you check them at the door when you go to work, and they don't really have a good place in the workplace. But I strongly disagree with that because humans are humans and they're going to be humaning even when they're at work. So if they have feelings at home, they might be able to tone them down, but they are not going away when they're at work. It's really important to understand how to manage and develop employees as full humans. So the technical skills and the work skills, but also the emotions, ideas, and feelings that they are bringing to their role. And I wanted to talk about that today. Empathy in leadership is really pivotal because it helps to foster strong relationships, trust, communication, and to make a more effective workplace culture. And to dive into that a little bit more around building trust and rapport, empathy helps leaders connect with their teams on a more personal level. So it's showing that you care about who they are, about what they're going through, their well being, their thoughts, their feelings, and it helps them to develop a sense of trust and respect with you and you with them because you're viewing them not just as an employee or as a cog in a machine, but you're viewing them as a human being. And when they feel like they are being treated as a human being and respected, they're more likely to be open, honest, and motivated in how they work and how they communicate with you. And that's huge. Empathy also helps you to improve this communication. Because when you practice empathy, empathy includes active listening, and that is listening to understand, to really get the big picture, and not just listening to respond or to fix something. Sometimes it's just being more attuned to the emotional dynamics of your team and saying, "Hey, Erica, you seem a little off today. Is everything okay? You don't seem like yourself." And maybe they do have something going on outside of work that's impacting them. Now they feel comfortable telling you that because before it was just impacting them heavily. Now they feel like they have an opportunity to talk because you notice that I am not being myself. Something is wrong. And you asked me about it because you actually cared and you didn't say, "Ooh, she seems a little weird today. I'm just going to avoid her because I don't want to talk about feelings." When you actually care about that and you are more attuned to them, they can read between the lines and understand that you are not just looking out for the business and the productivity of a team, but that you are looking out for them and their overall well being. And that goes a really long way. The third aspect of empathy and leadership is it really helps to improve employee engagement. And when employees feel understood and valued, they are more likely to be engaged with what they're doing. So many humans check out when they go to work because they're being asked to tune out and check their emotions at the door. They're coming in and they're just being asked to do these tasks. No questions, no feelings, no, "I don't really want to get to know you as a person." Then I'm going to come in and I'm going to check off my tasks, check, 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 get the bare minimum, and I'm done. But if you say, "Wow, we're really behind on something. Can anyone stay and do overtime?" Nah, not really. Not feeling it. Empathy also gives you opportunities to recognize the individual in ways of personalized support, how they like to be recognized and encouraged, how they're motivated. If they're intrinsically motivated, extrinsically motivated, you understand better that, okay, when I talk to Sally, she needs this, but when I work with Tommy, he needs this. And you understand that that's by being what they need, that's going to motivate them to do more and to be more engaged in what they're doing. That's going to boost your overall team morale and really overall job satisfaction because who doesn't want to work for somebody who actually cares about them and notices things about what they like to do and how they like to work. And also, empathy is going to help you with conflict resolution. And hopefully, you're not seeing a ton of it, but conflict isn't always a bad thing. Conflict helps you to identify where there are problems, where there's room for improvement, and it helps increase communication because people are actually being open enough to communicate. And they might have differences of opinion, especially if it's a diverse team. By having some conflict that you can review and work through, you're considering perspectives from all of the different parties. You're trying to find as much as possible a win-win scenario where both sides can get something out of the opportunity. And it helps to prevent an escalation or toxic environment where people don't want to hash out their concerns, but they just get frustrated and resentful. By having empathetic leadership, it is okay to have conflict as long as we're handling it correctly. And correctly also includes just handling it, period. There's so many leaders that will avoid conflict because, well, it's Tommy and Susan. I'm just going to let them go and hash it out instead of getting involved and saying, I'm noticing there's some tension. Let's get together and talk through it and figure out how we can see eye to eye on this. Instead of avoiding the hard conversations, empathy allows you to address it in a productive fashion so that you can fix things and be better because of it. Naturally, by doing all of these things, you're creating a more positive workplace culture. People want to work with their peers when they feel respected, when they feel like they are bringing the same level of work to the team. So I'm not pulling more weight than you are. I feel like we are equals. And all of this creates a place where people feel that they can share, that they can be themselves, that they can express concerns, that they can make mistakes, and that they won't be punished for it. And I don't think any leader goes out of their way to say, I want absolutely no creativity. And if anyone speaks up, I want to punish them for it. Nobody thinks that. But the ways that we respond to being challenged and the ways that we respond to mistakes sometimes gives a different message than what we intend to give. And if you or yourself are not open to receiving feedback, or if your team doesn't feel safe and comfortable giving you feedback, you may not realize that how you are responding to something is actually creating more tension among your team. In a workplace culture where people feel like they can speak up, they might actually tell you, here's how we're feeling about what's happening. Here's what we'd like to see instead. Is there room for us to discuss it? And ultimately, when people feel seen and they feel like they can speak up and you have a good understanding of who they are and what makes them tick, it helps to support their overall growth and development. And the goal is not to keep our team stagnant in the same role for years and years and years because they're good at that job and it makes you look good. The goal is that if they want to grow and move on to something different and be promoted, that you as a leader are helping them to achieve that. So understanding their career goals, their strengths, and the challenges that they're having, it gives you more opportunity to provide feedback and mentorship and coaching to help them develop in the ways that are important to them. And this can also help you to delegate because maybe what they're trying to develop in is something that you have a task that's aligned with that. And I can give you this task now so that you can develop and it's no longer on my plate. That's a win-win. When they feel like they're being supported and motivated to reach their potential, even though the long-term goal is for them to move to something different, they're going to give you their all while they're with you on your team because they appreciate what you're doing for them. They're not trying to just jump ship. They want to give you their best until they're able to move on to what's best for them. And that's part of being a manager. We should not want to stifle somebody's career growth and development because it makes our jobs harder. We should want to see our people growing and developing. And ultimately, when you're doing all these things, you have a conflict positive environment. You're helping to develop your employees. You understand who they are and how they are motivated. You know a little bit about them outside of work and about who they are as human beings. Your retention is going to improve and increase. We're seeing a lot of turnover because people don't really align and love their jobs anymore. And this is not a blanket statement, but we're seeing that everything is so up in the air and there's a lot of uncertainty in the world right now. And people are working to make a paycheck, but they're not necessarily 100% checked in because you can dedicate 100% of your life to a job and then be let go like this. When they feel like their job is on the line, it doesn't encourage them to work harder sometimes. It actually makes them freeze because they don't really know what to do. They're in a state of panic. And when we create an environment where we're seeing them, we're supporting them, and we are trying to help develop them, they're more likely to want to stay and work with you and be loyal. And if they are looking for promotion, it's not necessarily externally to another company. It might be maybe a level higher on your own team or to another position within the company. So their knowledge and experience still gets to stay in the overall organization. Ultimately, when you have these factors in place, crisis management is no longer an issue because when things are crazy and hitting the fan, people who lead with empathy, they are able to understand the situation and say that, everything might be a little chaotic, but I trust myself. I trust my team. We all can communicate effectively with each other. And I know that we'll figure it out. Those moments of heightened emotions, when you have this empathy and this emotional intelligence in place, people are going to trust you to lead them effectively. They're going to know that even though things are a little bit hard right now, that you are going to recognize the emotional toll that it's having on your team, and that you're going to provide resources and assurance and as much emotional support as possible to help them get through this challenge. And they know that they're not on their own feeling like, well, my boss just threw me in and now they're not in the direct fire. They know that you're going to be in there with them to help them get through it. And that means a lot to people. Empathy in leadership, sometimes we get confused about what it is, and we think that empathy is being too nice and too forgiving and giving too many chances. And that's not the case. There is a fine line between empathy and enablement. There's a difference. You can still be empathetic, supportive, and care about your employees as people and treat them as human beings and motivate them, support them, and develop them without being a pushover. You can still hold them accountable and you can still meet team goals and business objectives. In fact, by being an empathetic leader, you are more likely to hit your goals and your objectives because you have buy-in from your team, because they also care about you. And again, if you're hearing the word care and you're thinking, oh, feelings, you have to get over that. You don't have to come in and give hugs to everybody, and you don't have to cry and have a kumbaya circle around a fire and hold hands. Caring about them doesn't mean that you have to show a ton of emotion, but you have to care about their overall well-being. And if you're just viewing them as a means to an end, I'm going to burn you out so that I can hit my goals and my targets, and I don't really care what happens to you in the process, they're not going to want to work hard for you. They're not going to want to do more than the bare minimum to still receive a paycheck. And they're not going to like working with you because you sound like a jerk. But when you actually care about their well-being and say, yes, I want to meet our team objectives, I want to hit my bonus goals, but I also want my team to be happy and to enjoy work and to hit their goals as well, they're going to want to work harder because you are now working as a team and not as individuals. And it might seem counterintuitive, but by being more empathetic, not enabling, not a pushover, still holding folks accountable, but by actually caring about them and valuing what they contribute and who they are as people, you're going to see a stronger team performance. So by valuing them and responding to their emotions, it's going to lead to better relationships. It's going to lead to better improved communication, to engagement, to retention, to a healthier, productive workplace. And honestly, this is going to make you as a leader look better to your leaders. I always say it's not hard to be a decent human being. And that's really what it takes at the core of being a leader, is to be a decent human being, because now, yes, you are managing people and you have these goals, but they are in your charge. They are in your care. What happens to them, you are partially responsible for that. And when you embrace empathy, you're better equipped to guide them to success, and you're better equipped to help them meet objective goals for the business. And some things that you can do to help improve and increase your empathy and provide some more practical tips and actionable advice. Start doing more regular check-ins. If you're not doing one-on-ones, huge red flag. Start doing one-on-ones. And if you say they're not really that valuable, that's on you. Why are they not valuable? These should be opportunities for your team to come to you for development, to give feedback, to check in on how they're doing. What are they liking? What are they not liking? What could we do better? So that's an opportunity for them to get one-on-one time with you to give feedback. And it's important for us as leaders to receive feedback, to be open to getting it, to allow your team to give it to you. And if you're saying, well, my team, I ask them all the time to give me feedback and no one ever has any, I must be doing great. Chances are that they are afraid to give you feedback, because no matter how wonderful we are and how empathetic we are, there's always room for improvement. So if you are getting zero feedback from your team, there's a huge chance that they just do not feel comfortable or safe giving you feedback. So provide opportunities for check-ins, be open for feedback so that they can give you feedback. Make sure that you're giving them feedback, and not just constructive. Make sure that you're giving them positive feedback as well, to tell them, here are things that you're doing that's going really well. Thank you so much for doing those things. It's really helping the team. And be open to having vulnerable conversations. So addressing conflict, talking about what's happening in the world. Sometimes people are distracted because the world is scary. Being open to having those conversations if they need them also goes a long way. I have courses on my website, so authenticfoundations.podia.com, that cover several of these topics. One is emotional intelligence. One of them is effective communication. I have a course on performance management and giving feedback. I have courses on creating an inclusive team and an inclusive environment. So I have a lot of content out there to help people who maybe struggle with this area, because it's not everybody's natural state of being. That's okay. There's no judgment. as long as you're open to wanting to develop and improve. And the courses, they're great, they're self-paced, you take them on your own time. But if you really have some other challenges, I also offer coaching. And hopefully you can tell that this is something that's really important to me and this is a really passionate topic and I take it very seriously. This is something that I loved doing when I was working in corporate space myself, was creating positive workplace cultures where employees and myself, where the manager thrives. Because honestly, when you start to enjoy your team a little bit more, you enjoy going to work more. And who does not want to enjoy going to work more? We have to do it, so why not like it? So if you have questions about any of the courses, or if you want to talk to me about coaching, I love this stuff. I want to work with people. I want to see people wanting to make workplaces better. So please feel free to reach out. And if you have any questions, let me know. Thanks for listening to this episode about empathy in leadership. And I also want to just thank you in general for listening. There are literally millions of podcasts out there. And if you've taken the time to listen to mine, I don't take that lightly. So thank you for spending even part of your day listening to me talk about the things that I think are important. I'll catch you on the next time of Leadership in Real Life.